Hi, so it's another story time, more or less. And as you can tell by the title, I'm going to be talking about being too fat for Disney. I'm wearing my Animal Kingdom ears, as I'm calling them, and just an orange shirt because the orange works well together. Because I wanted to talk about, is Disney as fat friendly as they claim to be? My personal experience, I didn't ride too many rides, but for the most part, the answer would be yes. But there were a couple of them that kind of gave me a little grief, and one definitely did. The two that gave me a little grief were the Little Mermaid ride. I did not think that I was going to be able to fit in it properly with my friend Tiffany, who went with me. And the teacups, which again, I rode with my friend Tiffany. The teacups were a little interesting. I managed to get in okay, but spinning the wheel spun it into my gut. So it didn't hurt as bad, but it wasn't very comfortable, and I really wanted to ride the teacup so bad, so I didn't say anything. So, a little uncomfort, but tolerable. Getting out, however, was another thing. I had to let Tiffany get out first, and then it took me a good minute or two to squeeze myself up so I could get out sideways. A little embarrassing, but tolerable. The Little Mermaid ride we went on, I actually did break down and ask whether or not we'd both be able to fit in it and have the bar come down and be fine. The lady did say yes, but it did take me a little extra time to get the bar down and hold it still so it could be in place. Not the end of the world. I don't think we're going to be doing that again if we ever do go back, so I won't have to face that one ever again. But the worst one was in Animal Kingdom. And I was too fat for that ride. Going in, I did a bunch of research trying to figure out how fat friendly Disney was, because I'm fat. Not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm very fat. And so I checked the internet to see what they said. And they said some of the older rides, like maybe it's Small World, wouldn't work. I was fine with that. I did Small World. I'll talk about that in another video. Some of the roller coasters aren't as fat friendly as they should be. That's okay. Not a roller coaster fan. So I figured, well, Cali River Rapids should be fine. So we got a fast pass for it. That was the only water ride that was available at the time, and I know Tiffany really wanted to do a water ride. So I agreed to it, even though I'm not a big fan of water rides. And so we get to Animal Kingdom. We do our other things, and then we get in this massive long line. Even though it was a fast pass line, it was still huge for River Rapids because it was a super hot day. It was probably the hottest day of our trip. And being the hottest park didn't really help much either. So we get there. Sorry about the cats, they're running amok, if you can hear them. We get in that line. It's a good 10-15 minutes before we even get close to where the ride is, and I'm starting to think in my head, I can't wait to get on this ride. It's so hot, I could really use this. I'm talking to Tiffany, she's agreeing that this was the best decision because it's super hot and we really need this. And then we get even closer to the ride, to the point where I can see the ride itself, which I knew going in that it was a tube ride because that's how rapids are. and I knew that you had to have some sort of belt system. As I'm approaching the cart, it clicks in my head that that probably isn't going to go around me. So I get in, and I try every way imaginable. I try with the belt that's beside me. I try reaching over to the belt that was a little bit further away from me because there was no one sitting beside me to try and connect my piece with that. There is no way to extend these seat belts, and it's not working. So the man who was making sure everyone was in and buckled safely told me that I had to get out. So I did. And I'm actually tearing up. I hate crying, so I'm going to try and do this without crying. I haven't really talked about this so much. You can tell. So I get out, and I go over to the other lady who's letting people in. And I ask where the exit is. She smiles and tells me. So I leave, and I wait for Tiffany. And I'm bawling my eyes out, as I'm kind of doing right now. Waiting for her. My back is towards the people so they can't see that I'm an emotional wreck. And Tiffany gets off the ride, soaking wet. And one of the very first things she does is give me a massive hug. Because she knew I was very upset. That helped me calm down a bit. She wanted to know if there was anything else we wanted to do. I'm an emotional shopper. She knew that, but I had told her, no, I just want to get out of here because I was having a bad day. We head towards the front of the park. Me trying to keep in tears as I'm explaining to her why, even though she already knew why. And we end up getting stopped. And by we, I mean me. Tiffany stops me. Because out of the corner of her eye, she spots something. And that is a character meet and greet. And in my head, before I realize who it is, I'm not wanting to do this. Because I just want to get out of this stupid park. And it turns out that it was Russell. I don't know how well you can see it. But it was Russell from Up. She knows that Up is one of my favorite movies. So we end up getting photos with him. We were the very first person in line because he had just went off to get a break. And we get to spend a good 5 minutes with him before other people start coming in. And we eventually have to leave. We get photos in front of the tree. And on the way back, we get a message from Mar, who went with us. I believe we got a message, or Tiffany messaged her. I'm not 100% sure how that went. But she was going to end up having us to go over to spend some time with her before we had to go off for dinner. I'm still an emotional wreck because I got kicked off the ride because I was too fat. So I sent Tiffany to go while I bawled in my room for a good hour on the phone with my mom. I kid you not. We had to leave in an hour, and I think 40 to 45 minutes I was alone on the phone with my mom, crying because I was too fat. Overall, they are mainly fat friendly. I would advise maybe not Cali River Rapids if you're over a size 3X or 3 or over. Maybe talk to them. I don't know. They might have extenders, but in the whole thing of, hey, you're too fat, you're gonna have to leave, I wasn't thinking to ask to see if they could be extended. I know some rides you can get those, but needless to say, that was the case. And since I've calmed down a bit, I'm gonna end this video before I start crying again, because I hate crying. I'll see you next time. Bye.